Millionaire yells at Black Waitress. She replies with one move that shocks everyone. The diner buzzed with a low hum of conversation and clinking cutlery. It was a cold Tuesday morning in Manhattan, the kind that made people grumpy and impatient. The coffee machine steamed, pancakes sizzled, and in the middle of it all stood Ray, a 27-year-old black waitress with sharp eyes, a calm face, and a spine forged by struggle. Dressed in her crisp white uniform, her hair tied back into a neat bun, she moved from table to table like clockwork. She didn't smile much. Life hadn't given her many reasons to, but she was always respectful, always dignified. At booth 9, the air was already shifting. A white man in a tailored navy suit, Rolex peeking from under his cuff, slammed his coffee down on the table. "Excuse me," he barked. "Is this sludge what passes for coffee here?" Raina took a slow breath before turning. "Good morning, sir. Would you like a fresh cup?" He scoffed. "A fresh cup? What I'd like is for someone who can actually do their job to serve me." A few heads turned. Some customers froze mid-bite. But Raina didn't flinch. She had heard worse. She'd been called names in this very diner. Once someone had left her a note that read, "You people should know your place." She knew this city could wrap its racism in expensive ties and briefcases. Still, she nodded. "I'll bring you a fresh one, sir." "No, no. You know what I want." The man growled louder, now rising from his seat. "I want to know how a place like this hires someone like you." Now the diner was silent. Even the kitchen noise seemed to fade. Ray stood still, her fists clenched behind her back, nails digging into her palm. He continued, "You people always act like the world owes you something. You think wearing that uniform makes you part of society." Her lips parted, but no words came. "Not yet." He wasn't finished. "You're just a waitress. Nothing more. Probably can't even spell customer service. My dog shows more discipline." A murmur rippled through the room. One older woman gasped. A man in a flannel shirt looked like he was about to stand up, but Raina held up a hand without even turning, still calm, still poised. She looked the man straight in the eye now. Her voice didn't tremble. "Sir, I'm going to ask you politely to sit down and let me do my job." He laughed loud and cruel. "Or what? You'll call your manager? I own people like you. Always have." That was it. Raina didn't think. Her body moved before her mind could catch up. In a single fluid motion, she stepped back, pivoted, and brought her leg up. Crack! The heel of her black sneaker slammed into his chin. His head snapped back. He stumbled, crashed into the booth behind him, and slumped onto the vinyl seat. Stunned. Dazed. Humiliated. Gasps exploded around the room. Someone dropped a fork. A waitress screamed. A man in the back yelled, "Call security." But no one moved. Raina stood over him, breathing hard. Her hands were shaking now, but her eyes remained locked on his. "You don't own anyone," she said, her voice firm, each word slicing through the silence. "Not anymore." He blinked, blood from a bitten lip trickling down his chin. He looked around, expecting someone to come to his rescue, to back him up, to defend the civilized white man from the violent waitress. But no one did. In fact, a round of applause started slowly from the far corner. Then another, and another. Soon, half the diner was clapping. "About damn time," someone muttered. Raina turned and walked calmly toward the back counter, heart pounding in her chest like a war drum. She didn't know what was about to happen. She'd probably be fired, maybe arrested. Cameras had been pulled out. She saw the red light blinking on a phone someone held up from the other booth. But for the first time in months, maybe years, she felt like she could breathe. Behind her, the man struggled to get up. He clutched his jaw and staggered to his feet, rage painted across his face. "You're finished. You hear me?" he bellowed. "Do you know who I am?" I'm Vincent Taro. You'll never work again in this city. Reina turned once more. I've already worked 3 jobs just to survive. I don't care if I never serve another cup of coffee again, but no one gets to humiliate me and walk away. Suddenly the diner door opened and in walked a tall woman in a navy coat and heels, her face pale with worry. Vincent, she called out. What on earth happened? He pointed at Ray, sputtering. She attacked me. The woman blinked, then looked at Reina, then at the other customers, most of whom were silently glaring at Vincent. Attacked? She asked, voice quiet. I just got 5 texts from clients saying you were shouting racist slurs at a waitress. Vincent froze and then the whispers started. The tension in the diner could be sliced with a butter knife. Vincent Taro, still nursing his pride and his jaw, turned slowly toward the woman who had just walked in. His executive assistant, Vanessa. She was known in corporate circles as poised, intelligent, and ruthlessly efficient. Her sudden appearance caught everyone off guard. I asked what happened, Vanessa repeated, this time more sternly. Vincent straightened, trying to regain control. She assaulted me, Vanessa. Right here in public. Call the lawyers. We're pressing charges. No, we're not, she interrupted, pulling out her phone. Because I've already seen the footage. She turned the screen toward him. A live video streamed from the account of a teenage boy who had captured the entire altercation from his first insult to Reina's calm resistance. And finally, the moment that changed everything. This has 2.3 million views in 20 minutes, sir. Vanessa said, her voice tight. Do you know what the comments say? They're not on your side. Vincent's lips parted, but no words came out. Vanessa stepped forward. They're calling you a racist, an abuser, and if this gets out of hand, your stocks will tank. Sponsors will pull back and your board who already doesn't like you. They'll vote you out. He looked around the diner at the eyes watching him. The phones pointed at him. The waitress behind the counter frozen mid-coffee pour. Even the cook from the kitchen come out to witness the moment. I was provoked, he whispered. Vanessa didn't blink. No, you were exposed. She turned to Reina, who was standing still but visibly trembling. Now, I'm sorry for what happened to you, and on behalf of our company, I want to speak to you privately if you're open to it. Reina's throat tightened. She opened her mouth, then shut it. For the first time since the slap of that man's words, she felt heard. I'm not looking for money, Reina said softly. I'm just tired of being treated like I'm disposable. Vanessa nodded. And you shouldn't be. Then, to everyone's shock, she turned to the crowd and said, Ladies and gentlemen, this is no longer just about what happened today. It's about what we allow to happen every day. Vincent Taro will be stepping down from his company effective immediately. You can't do that. Vincent gasped. You don't have the power. I do. Vanessa cut in. The board appointed me interim CEO 2 weeks ago. They were already watching your behavior. You just gave them the final proof they needed. The diner fell dead silent. Vincent staggered. All of this because of a waitress. Vanessa looked at Reina, then back at him. Not just any waitress. A woman who stood up when no one else would. Reina's knees felt weak. She gripped the edge of the counter for balance. It was too much, too surreal. She'd walked into work today expecting just another day of surviving tips and keeping her head down. Now she was at the center of a storm she never asked for. Reina, Vanessa said softly, you don't have to keep working here. You deserve better. I want to offer you a role with our company, Human Resources and Community Outreach. It's not pity. It's because we need people like you. Reina's eyes welled up. I don't even have a college degree. Doesn't matter. You have something better. Integrity. Vincent stormed out, muttering curses, his world collapsing around him. And Reina. Ray stood there in her white uniform, still stained with a drip of coffee from earlier, her shoulders straightening for the first time in years. The crowd in the diner erupted into applause again, but this time it wasn't for a kick. It was for her character. Months later, Raina sat in a bright office overlooking the city skyline. Her name played on the desk read Director of Community Equity and Outreach. She still visited the old diner once in a while, not to work, but to remind herself how far she'd come. And every time a new waitress walked in with nervous eyes and quiet steps, she'd smile and say, "Stand tall. You're worth more than you think." Because the woman, once silenced by insults, was now writing policies to protect others from the same fate. And it all started with one bold,